He planted a recording device, and we had no idea what we were going to get.
If you're talking about burying two journalists, two well-known journalists, well, imagine what you can do to me. Do you have the power to call hitmen in? I don't know.
A murder plot discussed on tape implicates a county's top cop.
If you call 911, that's who's coming to your house.
You're talking with this sheriff. That should provoke a lot of questions.
And reveals a problem in small towns across America.
Horrific video of an inmate beaten while in the custody of deputies.
A CBS News investigation finds sheriffs abusing their power.
I never knew that the sheriff had so much power.
But when you see a pattern of things, that's not a coincidence.
And there's little in place to stop them.
They have to feel untouchable. They're above the law.
More than 70% of America is rural.
And kind of looks like this. Small towns dotted across the U.S. where over 3,000 sheriffs have dominion over people far away from the national spotlight.
Sheriffs were America's first law enforcement. Their gold star is iconic in Hollywood portrayals of U.S. history, from the Wild West to Mayberry. And today, sheriffs still operate with significant autonomy and influence in almost every state.
What does a sheriff's office do? Well, you're going to get a lot of answers.
Patrolling the streets, managing the jail, maintaining court security, providing resource officers, patrol, crime scene, investigations. We call a full-service agency.
You're also everybody's friend and sometimes everybody's enemy.
A sheriff is elected by the people to police the people and keep law and order.
We don't have a boss. We have more power than any elected officials in our county and probably in our state, but nobody recognized that.
I can take you off the street, put you in a solitary confinement cell, restrict your ability to reach out and call a family member. When our Constitution guarantees your rights, I have the ability to limit your rights, your liberties.
Countless sheriffs hold themselves to a high standard, but little is in place to hold sheriffs accountable when they don't. A CBS News investigation found chronic abuses in sheriff offices and systematic failures that can enable many of them to get away with it. To understand how this happens, we traveled to a corner of Oklahoma known as Little Dixie.
The Gazette has been serving McCurtain County since 1905. It precedes statehood.
The publisher is Bruce Willingham. That's my father-in-law. His wife is the bookkeeper. Chris, my husband, is the investigative reporter, and I'm the editor.
November 2021, Chris Willingham wrote a story in the Gazette about alleged misconduct inside the local sheriff's office under Kevin Clarity's administration.
I received some pictures of the evidence room. It was in complete disarray. There's biological bags spilled out on the floor, what appeared to be drugs spilled out on the floor. Some of these are murder cases that haven't gone to trial yet, so if you have tainted evidence, you don't have a case. These things just continued to happen.
In the weeks and months that followed, the Willinghams continued to uncover new allegations.
It just looked like completely unchecked corruption.
Let's talk about the tape.
The county commissioners' meetings take place every Monday. My dad has covered them for more than 40 years. And he noticed over about a 2-month period that these guys are breaking open meeting laws. He planted a recording device on March 6th, and we had no idea what we were gonna get.
They caught county leaders talking about how they wanted to commit hate crimes.
Is this back in the days when Alan Marshall take a damn blackjack, whoop their ass, and throw them in the cell? I'd run for sheriff.
Yeah. Well, it's not like that no more.
I know. Take them down here on Mud Creek and hang them up with the damn rope. But you can't do
And the
that.
thing about it is,
They got more rights than we got.
They also discussed acts of violence against the regional prosecutor. But they had special plans for the Willinghams.
I've known 2 or 3 hitmen that were very quiet guys.
Yeah.
And would cut no mercy.
Yeah.
In Louisiana. Because it was all mafia around
Yeah.
Louisiana.
oh yeah,
I know where 2 big deep holes are here. They,
I got an excavator.
well, these are like pre-dug.
Well, one of these days I'm gonna bounce his ass.
In order to protect Chris, we had to make this public.
It went viral overnight.
Across the nation, people are outraged.
Lynching, hiring hitmen.
The audio is just terrifying.
It is horrifying.
I was just going on my merry way and just thinking everything was perfect with the county. And then when this came out, I'm like, wow.
You have the highest law enforcement power in the county talking about killing people.
If you're talking about burying two journalists, two well-known journalists, well, imagine what you can do to me. Do you have the power to call hitman in? I don't know.
It's a very surreal thing to hear a table full of community leaders laughing about and plotting the murder of their husband.
If you live in the county, if you call 911, that's who's coming to your house if you're in an emergency.
What's going through your mind?
We've got to contact someone who can do something about this. I knew Idabel Police, they would do what's right, so we took the tape to them.
I told them I would take the report, but I felt it needed bigger eyes on it than mine. And I went to the McCurtain County District Attorney, Mark Matloff, and Mark said, we're going to put that in the mail to the Attorney General. My name's Daryl Blakely. I've worked for almost every law enforcement agency in Southeast Oklahoma. I don't have a Juris Doctorate. I've never been to law school, but I can tell you what I heard on that tape was crimes.
Surely a murder plot would force some kind of change.
You would think so.
In the immediate aftermath of the tape's release, County Commissioner resigned, and the governor called on the sheriff to do the same. But he won't, and neither will his captain. No one in power will even try to make them.
He's not going to resign. He's not even going to acknowledge that this happened.
State law says that sheriffs can be removed for certain misconduct, but the process is so bureaucratic that almost never happens. The state attorney general declared the sheriff broke no law, and he left residents with only one option: vote in the next election.
In saying that, the voters left thinking, oh, well, there's nothing here, so I may just go and cast my vote for him. This whole episode exposed just how difficult it is to unseat somebody in that position.
And what you're describing is a failure of democracy. It's one of the vulnerabilities of the majority rule. My name is Chirag Bains. I was Deputy Director of the Domestic Policy Council at the White House for President Biden from 2021 to 2023. I also served as a prosecutor in a career capacity of civil rights crimes, including police brutality.
I want to get your reaction to this tape. Sheriff is still in power.
It's extremely serious and extremely disconcerting. Going just based on what you told me, those allegations, somebody plotting to kill someone else, using their government authority, that's a federal crime. You're talking about the leader of the sheriff's department, the sheriff. That is enough to warrant scrutiny into the whole office because this person's at the top. In terms of whether someone like that should be in power, absolutely not.
Nothing has happened to them. I mean, they have to feel untouchable. They're above the law. We had some really, really dark times here. For a while, I had a gun inside my waistband, and I had an air tag in my shoe. If I was to get nabbed or picked up, there'd be some evidence for my wife to try to find me.
How are you feeling right now?
My stomach's pretty tight. If the people who are protecting you are corrupt, what do you do?
To try to answer that question, a group of concerned citizens rallied together.
When you first heard the tape, what did you think?
I could not believe what was being said.
I never knew that the sheriff had so much power.
And it's not locker room talk.
It's not.
It's not locker room talk.
This stuff has been going on down through the years.
Public safety issues here started long before the tape, and even the current sheriff. There's a history of violence, and residents feel that too many suspicious deaths have gone uninvestigated.
We're dealing with people that probably wouldn't care one bit about taking our lives.
And if, God forbid, something happened to any of your loved ones, may not even be investigated.
Well, just like Corey Carter.
There was video.
Yes.
Video.
We saw the video.
How they killed him.
We saw the video.
No accountability. That's 9 years ago. 9 years ago.
And it's just a cover-up.
According to court records, in 2015, Corey Carter, a mentally ill man, was booked into the McCurtain County Jail, and 4 hours later, he had no pulse. Now, officers brought Carter into the shower room, and there was a physical altercation. One jailer strangled him while others tased him multiple times. Then surveillance video shows that they dragged his naked, limp body into a restraint chair as he slowly died. No criminal charges were ever brought. Carter's family sued, claiming wrongful death. The county denied the allegations, but agreed to pay a settlement. We found that there's a long documented history of misconduct allegations under the sheriff's office. Another inmate in McCurtain County alleged civil rights violations several years later. He says McCurtain's former sheriff conspired to lock up his daughter's teenage boyfriend in the county jail, where officers and inmates were sent to beat the boy up and caused permanent injuries. His lawsuit is ongoing.
He was abused in the shower, precisely the same spot where Corey Carter was abused in the shower. That's not a coincidence. If they want to tune somebody up, they know right where to go to do it.
Mitchell Garrett is a civil rights attorney who represents victims, including that teenager, who sued the McCurtain County Sheriff's Office for excessive force.
When you see a pattern of things, it really makes you wonder, is it incompetence or is it this is the way they do business?
And this is not the only case.
No.
It's March 2022.
Well, this is interesting.
Sheriff deputies are called to a crime scene. This is Bobby Barrett.
Stop.
Please don't. Don't kill me.
Stop.
Please don't kill me.
Stop.
Please don't kill me.
He won't survive.
Help! 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 They're murdering me! Help! They're killing me!
Barrett is still handcuffed when 4 officers wrestle him into submission, and one deputy stuns him with a personal taser. This is where it all went down, and Bobby Barrett was tased twice by sheriffs, according to their own reports, and he later died of those injuries. Bobby Barrett's death doesn't show up in any crime statistics, as if it never happened. And that's because, according to the McCurtain County Sheriff, there was no crime.
What I was told is he was tasered while handcuffed.
Would that ever happen at the Idabel PD?
That is against the use of force continuum. That is not allowed, no.
What were the findings of the investigation?
Well, that's where it gets super interesting. There was no investigation.
Doesn't Oklahoma state law require an investigation?
It does. You would think that someone would have called the OSBI. Someone would have called maybe the FBI. Maybe they would have called his wife. I don't know. Call someone. No one got called.
Federal law also requires law enforcement to report when a person dies in their custody. But most of the time, it doesn't happen. Nowhere is worse than in Oklahoma. Law enforcement kill people at a higher rate here than in any other state. But in 84% of those deaths, officers don't report the use of lethal force.
You just did the nut and shell game. If I don't report the crime, I don't have to report it to the OSBI, and the OSBI doesn't have to report it to the FBI.
You think that these citizens are now less safe?
Yes.
And crimes go unpunished? Or not even investigated?
It's awful hard to prosecute or investigate something when it's not being accurately reported. Is that being done? My opinion, no.
We found that last year, 3/4 of crimes here went unsolved by the sheriff's office.
It seems like the problem is bigger than the sheriff. I mean, there's a system that allows this to continue to fester.
Curious.
Our office called numerous times the State Bureau of Investigation. Nothing.
The State Bureau of Investigation?
Nothing.
The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation declined to comment. According to the map, the McCurtain County Sheriff's Office is right up here, hidden behind storage facilities and the lumber yard.
So we've reached out repeatedly, and all we've heard is from the sheriff's personal attorney declining comment. So we just decided to come here to try to get some answers. Can't even get in.
Can I help you?
Yes, hi. My name is Adam Yamaguchi with CBS News, and we've been trying to reach the office here repeatedly and haven't heard back. We're just hoping to be able to speak to a representative here.
Hey.
Hi there.
How are you?
Hi, Adam Yamaguchi with CBS
Mike,
News.
Nice to meet you.
Mike, nice to meet
Yeah.
you. We are here because we have spoken to so many concerned residents who have questions, who have asked us.
They haven't asked us anything. I really don't care what somebody's accusing somebody of or anything else.
Right. Okay.
Everything is handled. We'll talk to you, through the attorney.
We just want to make sure that you get a fair shake because
absolutely.
there's been a lot that's said about the sheriff's department in the press, and
I completely understand.
we want to get it
People
right.
like to lie too. So.
I'm really glad y'all actually trying to get our side of things too.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. We'd love to tell you whatever we could tell you, but unfortunately, all the attorneys are saying, hey, no comment.
Right.
Right. And I mean, you do what your attorney tells you to do.
But across town, the local district attorney has been quietly documenting potential crimes inside the sheriff's office.
We obtained a trove of insider law enforcement documents and court records, and I'm looking at letters that the DA sent to the state attorney general. And he points to numerous allegations involving criminal behavior and corruption.
In May of 2018, the DA writes to recuse himself from a possible investigation into the McCurtain County Sheriff.
In these documents, we can track a federal criminal investigation, but the FBI won't tell us either way what they found or whether they're still investigating. If laws were broken, surely something would have happened by now.
The fact that there's not a criminal charge doesn't mean there was not misconduct.
What are the practical limitations of the DOJ?
The Justice Department has to be willing to bring these cases. And to be candid, that has varied from presidency to presidency. There is a relatively small team at the Justice Department to do this work.
How many would you say?
It's probably a couple of dozen people with the expertise and the depth of experience to do this work.
So just a couple dozen that are dedicated to overseeing policing across the country.
340 million people, 18,000 law enforcement agencies. I mean, DOJ can't remedy all the wrongs. That's absolutely true. There's responsibility all along the spectrum. Local officials, state officials.
You feel like the system let you down?
I just don't think the system is designed to protect against something like this.
Even after the scandal of the audio tape, the Gazette continued to document misconduct allegations.
These people could do anything.
And based on all that's happened, seemingly untouchable.
McCurtain County is the sheriff's little kingdom, and he's all powerful.
Nobody's above, we're not supposed to be in this country, above the law. Not even your highest ranking officials. There has to be accountability. There's been none. Zero.
McCurtain County is not alone. Stories of sheriff misconduct are playing out across America. And you don't have to go far before you find other people falling victim, with virtually no accountability. This is just next door to McCurtain County, Oklahoma. This county sheriff deputies pulled a car over for an obscured license plate. The driver is unarmed. But they shoot 8 times and kill him. The deputy went on to work patrol in another small town. His record is clean, and there was no criminal charge, like 99% of all fatal police violence.
We're just talking about deaths here. There are many other forms, lesser forms of violence that cause significant harm to people.
Which is to say the scope of the problem is much bigger than the public probably perceives.
I think that's right. Yes. That information is critical for accountability. And in a democracy, don't we all have a right to know how force is being used in our names?
American law enforcement killed more people in 2023 than any other year in the past decade. And increasingly, it's happening at the hands of county sheriffs.
The majority of the cases I represent are under sheriffs. I mean, vast majority. It's like 10 to 1.
The impact of sheriff misconduct is almost everywhere.
Meigs County.
Rankin County Sheriff.
County Deputy. Frederick County Sheriff.
Columbus County Sheriff.
LA County Sheriff.
Harris
County
Sheriff.
We're not looking at where we need to be looking.
We should be scrutinizing sheriff's offices as much as we are police departments. I think you're right that they don't get enough scrutiny.
Our team analyzed data all across the U.S. We found that county sheriff offices are 3 times more lethal than city police departments.
Are you alarmed?
I am. I am alarmed by that. I mean, that should provoke a lot of questions. It's not just a situation of bad apples. There are systems that need attention.
In this country, police officers, deputy sheriffs, agents are believed when they make a statement. That's why not everybody can do this job. And we have to be the advocate.
We're not perfect, but you got to believe that we can do better, we can be better. Everybody should be held accountable.
All I tried to do the entire time was tell the truth, and I could be killed for doing this.
Did the sheriff win?
My children asked me the same question. They said, "Dad, did the bad guys win?" And I said, "Maybe sometimes, but this isn't over yet."